Hello, everyone, and welcome to Computek College Learning Beyond Borders podcast with me, Aishwarya Ravishankar. I work with the marketing team at Computek College, and today I have with me two interesting people, Neva and Keerthana from Canadian Tamil Professionals Association. They go by CTPA. It's a non-profit, non-partisan organization focused on developing career opportunities for emerging and established Tamil professionals. Welcome, Neva and Keerthana, to my show. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for inviting us. It's such a pleasure to be on here and be featured. So we really appreciate this opportunity.
Me as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I just want to make sure that I, put the correct designation or the roles of both of you. So why don't you tell your position that you both hold at CTPA?
Perfect. I can go first. So I'm the chair of the organization. So I oversee our 50 fabulous volunteers. I'm very blessed to have a great board of directors, which Keerthana is a part of. And I've been with CTPA for about 3 years. I started as a manager for professional development, then I moved up to director, and here I am now as chair.
Awesome. Keerthana, what about you?
Yeah, so I've been with CTPA for about 3 years as well. I started as an associate on Neva's team in the professional development portfolio and then moved to manager. And I was manager for 2 years, and I've just recently been promoted to director of professional development.
Wow. Actually, it's so happy to see you guys holding such big positions like the chair and director. It's not easy, right? So how do you guys feel? Do you feel proud about it? Is it too much responsibility, or what do you think about it?
That's a really good question. To be honest, when I joined CTPA, I saw the board of directors and that dynamic and how they carried themselves, and I thought, wow, what an inspiring group of people. Like, this is what I want to work towards, and it's something that I also want to work towards in my professional life. It really teaches you to be able to kind of balance multiple things and multiple hats. And I like the fact that you see things from different perspectives. Like, you have to take another portfolio's perspective, and you really have to think as well as the audience or what the membership base really wants to know about or what the community needs. So I think it's a very empowering and powerful position, but it's so rewarding when you see like successes like our career summit that we did very recently, which was a huge win for our organization.
I agree. It's honestly such an empowering experience. Volunteering has allowed me to improve my leadership skills, my my personal development, honestly, and being in this volunteer position, it kind of allows me to practice these leadership skills in a safe space that I can then take into my professional life.
Awesome. That makes sense, Kirtana. So, CTPA runs by a team of volunteers, right? So, for those of you who don't know, CTPA runs by a team of volunteers. So, which means they have something else to do in their life, but amidst their busy schedule, they are spending their valuable time in contributing towards the empowerment of youth, empowerment of Tamil professionals. What do you think about this, Kirtana and Neva, volunteering our time, which is very, very valuable in all our busy life? So, what do you think about this volunteering whole thing? Have you ever thought about, oh my, is it worth to spend my time in giving back to the community? I understand this whole point, but what do you think about spending your valuable time towards the community?
Yeah, so I think when you do spend the time and put in the effort to running an event or running some sort of campaign for the Tamil professionals and Tamil youth, and you see it come into life, you get such a rewarding feeling of that you actually making a difference. For example, Career Summit that we just did this month, seeing all those young professionals coming in, asking questions, being engaged, and leaving feeling, super empowered, that gives me a sense of fulfillment and feels like I did a good job today for the community. And that's what keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to go off of what Keerthana says, like, when we show up to an event and we see like a room full of people, it's really humbling because it's like, a group of, 5 or 10 people, who dedicated countless hours of their evenings, of their free time, had a vision, and this is like the outcome of that vision, and it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. But for me, like the reason why I chose to volunteer is actually because, it was a way for me to overcome burnout as a healthcare practitioner. So my full-time job is a radiation therapist. And I remember during the height of the pandemic, I got redeployed for COVID swabbing in the outdoor parking lots. So I remember, one day I had all my PPE on and it was like -10 degrees. And I was just
Oh
thinking,
my God.
there has to be more to life than this. And so that's when I stumbled upon CTPA, and I wanted to be a part of something bigger. And it's been a great outlet for me to kind of, have creativity, to really exercise my leadership skills. But to be honest, is to learn who I want to become as a leader and what those skills that will be important in empowering the team. So yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. You work as a radiation therapist, which is interesting. I'll come back to you. But Keerthana, let's come to you. What do you do apart from the great work that you're doing at CTPA?
Yeah, so I work in the supply chain space um, as a supply planner, and I'm currently also doing my master's at Ivy, doing my master's in management analytics. And I've been working at my current company for about 3 years now. Um, and that's what I do outside of CTPA.
Oh wow, that's a lot. And honestly, I have so many things to ask you guys, but I'll just go one by one because both of your profiles are really interesting, and CTPA has a as a whole team, it's really interesting, and I really want to get into the organization, how it operates, and how to get into if someone wants to get in touch with CTPA, how can they do, and all those sort of thing. But let's come to you both. How did you both get into CTP? How did you guys know that there is some organization out there which is helping, youth and Tamil professionals?
Yeah, so when I joined 3 years ago, I think, yeah, it was a little over 3 years ago, I stumbled upon it on LinkedIn and I saw that they were hiring mid-year, and I just applied for the associate position, interviewed, got in, and I've been part of it ever since.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Niwa, is that the same with you?
I remember scrolling through Instagram and I saw it, and I remember a lot of my friends had attended the black and white formal in previous years. So that's kind of how I learned about it, and I was featured on the I Am Tamil Professional campaign,
Mhm.
um, leading up to their Tools to Success promotional activities.
Mhm.
So I highlighted myself as a radiation therapist and my experience volunteering at the Jaffna Teaching Hospital and working in their pediatric clinic, and just how that hardship was and how it taught me to really identify with my Tamil identity. But I also took part in the Pollen program, where I was matched with someone who was in healthcare, who's been in that industry for about 5+ years. So I really liked that relationship that I built. And then, when I saw the recruitment at the beginning of the year, I said, you know what? Um, I've met so many great people already through this organization, so I want to kind of take it on one step further. So I applied, and yeah, and the rest is
You're
history.
here. Awesome. Awesome. So, Computek and CTPA had recently partnered as well. So we know, and I basically know who CTPA is and what do they do, and at least I have a basic idea. But for our audience, mostly who are students, graduates, our alumni, and also employment and community partners who are currently watching this podcast. So, tell us more about CTPA, what CTPA does on a day-to-day basis, how does it benefit the Tamil community, especially the youth and the developing professionals?
Yeah, so this year marks 15 years of the organization. And honestly, it all started with 4 Tamil Student Association presidents that met up at a Tim Hortons after a Tamil formal, and they discussed, how can we really take this further? Because, a lot of Tamils who grow up here, they go to university, and their Tamil network are the people that they meet in their university. So they were looking at ways to kind of expand that so that, we can have a more diverse network of Tamil professionals connecting with each other. And the other thing that the other vision behind this was, they wanted to learn about how they can get ahead in life. So how to get that job at that law firm that, everyone is eyeing, or how to essentially upgrade your skills, and what skills are important for navigating the workplace and all the obstacles that come with it. So that was really the founding vision for it. And, we have so many programs since that conversation 15 years ago. One of our pillar programs is the Paula Mentorship Program. And we've to date matched over 130 Tamil professionals. And many of these professionals have landed these dream jobs or jobs that they were gunning for through the Paula program and through the connections that they've made. But aside from that, we have our Toast to Success conference, which celebrates the Tamil professionals in our community. So this year we had Minister Anita Anand deliver the keynote speech, which was, very inspiring, because she was the former Minister of Public Defense. And it meant a lot to me to have her there, because she was key for essentially procuring COVID vaccines at the very early stages. So having her presence there really brought everything full circle. But under Keerthana's portfolio, we have a lot of professional development workshops, such as the Career Summit, where we had Nikki Sabavati and Vandana Qatar, who essentially talked about, how to land that dream job and how to kind of get ahead.
Advocate for yourself.
Yeah, during today's global market conditions. And we also had the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion certificate workshop, which was accredited by Computek College, which is the first of many. And then, as you know, we have our Black and White formal, which is a nice little gala to end off the year and really connect with other people and network.
Keerthana, would you like to add something else?
Yeah, we also have our Tamil Heritage Month event
wow, that's
in January.
a big.
Yeah, so that's an annual event that we have as well. And then under the professional development and mentorship portfolios, we have a lot of staggered events throughout the year, whether it's financial literacy, real estate, how to improve your resume, how to interview skills, cover letter, specific, like we had a trades workshop. I think upcoming, just to tease, we might have a tech workshop coming up. So we have a lot of small workshops throughout the year targeting different audiences. So a little bit of something for everyone.
Awesome. I think CTPA has been doing a wonderful job in organizing so many events culturally and also professionally. That's very, very important. So can you guys tell a little bit about what is there any age limit to get into all these workshops? I understand everything is different. And Keerthana, as you mentioned, each workshop or each program or each session caters to different audience. But generally, to get into CTPA, is there any age limit, or is there any specific industry that the professionals or developing youth have to be in?
I don't think so. I think as long as you've graduated and are graduated, from university or post-secondary program, you're eligible. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. We have people in our volunteers in many different industries. We have some people in academia. I'm in operations. We have consultants. We have people in healthcare, banking, accounting, finance, like you name it. We have someone in everything, HR. So no necessary specifications. You just need to have the passion to volunteer and give back to the community. And that's all we're really looking for, to be part of the CTPA volunteers. To attend the events, you don't need any specifications. If you're just looking to upgrade your skills, come to the workshops.
Awesome. That's interesting. That's nice to know. Neva, you mentioned about the Palam program. So, for those of you who do not know, Palam is a Tamil word which means bridge. So, I believe the rationale behind naming it Palam is to connect mentors and mentees, right? A bridge between, developed and developing ones. So, why don't you elaborate a little bit about what and how this Palam program functions and how to, make use of it?
Yeah, so essentially, we open up applications at the beginning of the year. You apply online, and the application is very easy. You just write down your name, what industry you're in, and what you're looking to gain out of the relationship. And then we have a team of our mentorship operation leads, and they review the applications, and they look at their list of mentors that they have available, and they try and find that perfect pairing based on your personality. They'll do a little bit of a talk or an interview, just to kind of get a sense of your personality and to see if you're a good fit with that mentor, because we want to make sure that the two are compatible. It's like dating. So sometimes
Professional dating.
professional dating, exactly. So they'll do that, and once the pair has been kicked off, the team will check in periodically and just make sure, hey, how's everything going? Are you finding that the experience is what you're liking? And then we also have events for these pairs to actually kind of grow their relationship even further. So just recently we had a boxing event. It's like an introductory class. And, there's a lot of remnants of mentorship within boxing. And I was very surprised when I kind of got to know, the importance of goal setting. That's very important for mentorship and for boxing, and how to set realistic goals and that kind of mental game that we often get ourselves into. But besides the events, we also have a mentorship manual. So, if people are feeling overwhelmed, like, oh, I don't know how to go about, doing this because it might be something foreign. Not everyone has that mentorship experience or that mentorship relationship. So we want to help facilitate that. So we have a little guide of, during meeting 1, this is what you should discuss. During meeting 2, these are some things to work towards. And then, our team also checks in periodically just to ensure that they can provide the guidance to make it a fruitful experience.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I want to know even more, just one step ahead. So, for example, if I'm a mentee, I want to get into the Palm program and I am selected as a mentee. What will I get out of this program? How long will this program last? So, what will I get out of this program? So, one of the things that you mentioned is goal setting. So, apart from that, what else am I getting out of it? And what's the whole process like?
Of course. So, once you're paired up, you kind of have meetings one-on-one, and it's a year-long program. So what I tell people is the effort that you put into this relationship, you'll get back tenfold. So if you spend a lot of time keeping in touch with your mentor, like when I had my experience, what I wanted to do was kind of narrow down a career choice and find a master's program that best suited my needs. And luckily, my mentor, she broke down the programs. These are courses that fit what your interests are. And she also kind of teased apart what my strengths and weaknesses are as well. And she recommended a lot of extracurricular certificate courses that help meet those needs. And then she also helped me build connections with certain admissions officers so that I can ask questions about, if I were to go into this master's program, what are they looking for? And essentially how to create my application so it's more appealing as opposed to other applicants, and how to really have that competitive edge. So, my relationship really gave me that insider info that I really needed to kind of get through a very competitive environment. but she also kind of shed light on, how that industry is changing. So luckily, she was in the industry that I eventually want to get into. And she told me, these are some skills that you should have. So such as like coding experience, or, just a fundamental knowledge of AI, because that's essentially where there's going to be a big push in healthcare, and AI. And so because of that, I started taking those courses. And now, if I'm put in certain situations, where it comes up, I can actually understand and really impress a board full of diverse, industry leaders.
Awesome. So I think to all the Computek students, graduates, or alumni who are watching this podcast, please make use of this Palm program. This sounds really interesting. So who knows? CTPA is all yours. So, and I also want to touch base about, we all know Canada is diverse, right? So every day we have huge inflow of immigrants coming to Canada, and they are, for example, I'm an immigrant. I recently moved to Canada from India. So it was so different for me. I was just chatting with Neva in the beginning that how I wouldn't say it's a cultural shock, but things are different, life is different, so are there any programs, sessions that CTP is organizing specifically for newcomers?
So our career convention was a great, we had a lot of newcomers join, and we do attract a lot of newcomers because they're looking to meet other Tamil people within the community and just kind of get reintegrated and, essentially be able to form connections and meet other professionals, and so that they can have their toolkit of contacts. But our Pollen program also has a lot of, attracts a lot of newcomers. And actually, one of our very, very successful pairings, he's also a newcomer from India, with a finance background. And given today's, economic situation and with all the layoffs, it's been really hard for him to find a job. And through his mentor, he was able to land a really nice job at RBC.
Wow.
Very impressive. And when I was talking to him and hearing his story, he said he put a lot of time into really, getting a hold of his mentor and really just getting his resume fixed up and his cover letter to ensure that it kind of has a competitive edge over, numerous new grads, and other candidates who are also, interested in that same job. So he was able to get his foot in the door, and land that dream job through this connection.
Wonderful.
Our real estate workshops, they're also geared towards, newcomers and those who don't really have knowledge of the Canadian markets, as well as our financial literacy, workshops as well. And we're actually planning on developing, some module courses that people can sign up for, which is, great for those who, coming out of high school or, undergrad, who just want to kind of get those skill sets in, or even newcomers who are, new to the Canadian markets. So there's a lot of planning underway. So lots of
Awesome.
programs.
I think all of our events are perfect
Mhm.
for newcomers, whether they're targeting newcomers or not. It's a perfect way to come in and meet people, get an in into the Canadian Tamil society. I know as a newcomer, it's probably very, difficult trying to meet new people. And this provides the perfect environment where it's a safe space to meet new people, network with them, make connections, learn new things, and just become acclimated to the Canadian society. Sure.
Wonderful. I'm pretty sure CTPA has a lot planning in progress to, specifically target newcomers or to help them out in every possible way. So I really thought about asking this question to you both. Don't worry, it's not something hard. Out of your experience working with CTPA and in the Canadian market, so what do you guys think are some of the challenges or some of the difficulties that today's youth face in terms of getting their first job, because landing in a first job, it's not easy. For instance, I'm an immigrant. I came all the way to Canada and started my life from scratch, and I'm still struggling in some areas, right? So I've met many of my friends and peers who are struggling because they did really well back home, but after coming here, it's very hard for them. So do you know What do you guys think are some of the challenges that they face, and how can they overcome them?
I can take this one. So as a graduate, not too long ago, I remember trying to apply for my first, engineering slash ops job. And I think I went through like 200 online applications trying to get an interview. And I was really discouraged with all the rejections that I faced. And then my first, big girl job that I got was at L'Oreal, which is one of the number one makeup companies in the world. And you know how I landed that job? Through a coffee chat and networking. So, and that's how I'm now at Mark Anthony Group too. So I follow that mentor over to this company as well, and I'm really thankful for that mentor that I have. She's still my mentor today, and really the power of networking it is so unreal. Like having to those connections, like I would say your net worth is your network, right? So that's how I got my first job. And I think a lot of people can relate. And I think a lot of people are facing these challenges. One job application can have thousands and thousands of applications. And how do you stand out of that? You need to have an in. So I think at CTPA, you're able to make these professional connections that you may not have met in your day-to-day life. And I think that's a value that we bring to the community. You're able to connect. And I think when you meet someone with a shared interest or some sort of commonality, they're more inclined to help you. So for example, my mentor was a graduate of the exact same program at the same university that I went to 5 years prior. And that was the commonality that we had when I connected with her, and she was more inclined to help me, right? And when you meet some Tamil professionals, I'm sure they'll be more inclined to help you because rather than it's just
It just that
concept that have something in common. Like
right.
they're more inclined to help you. They'll like you more, and they're more inclined to help you and guide you.
Yeah. Sometimes we feel like they look like me, they talk like me, they sound like me, their name is similar to mine. So
They
I'm pretty sure
understand
I'll
you
help
better,
them.
right? They
Yeah,
understand your struggles. They understand your
that's right.
personality. They understand your morals, values, all of that thing. So which is different than other ethnic groups in Canada, right? So they understand maybe the pressures you're facing. So it's easier to make that connection, and they're more likely to guide you in the right direction if you ask for the help.
Awesome. I think that's an excellent point. Coffee chat and getting in touch with your, folks in your community. That's an excellent point, Keith, and I really appreciate it. Coming back to you, Neva, do you have any networking tips? The reason why I'm asking questions targeting, newcomers, immigrants, and first job is because Computek is focused on helping newcomers, and that's what we have been doing for the past 30 plus years. So most of our students, 90% are immigrants, right? So we are trying our best to in helping them landing in a successful job by providing a professional course is really helping a lot of immigrants and moms and dads and newcomers, right? So do you have any other networking tips, Neva?
I would say I'm an introvert, like just naturally. So, what's really helped me is, just pushing yourself. Like sometimes I'll find myself in a room full of people and I'll be like, I can't do this. But I'll be like, no, I'm going to do this. Just go. And then you just kind of go, introduce yourself, put yourself out there, like, share your experiences, because I find like sharing your story is really powerful. And that's really kind of what hits things off, especially in a room if you don't know anyone, because, at the end of the day, you may form one really meaningful connection out of that event or out of that workshop. But you'll have more regrets if you didn't put yourself out there. And I would say like don't, I guess, be hard on yourself too. Have a few little go-to topics that you want to talk about with someone that you think is relatable, such as your industry or what you studied in school and, some of what your interests are. So one of my big go-to topics is, what's your favorite podcast series? Because I feel like that's an easy one. Everyone's always listening to something, during their commute to work. And it's a great way to hit things off. And also you have more recommendations of what to listen to when you run out of options.
Yeah, totally. I get it. So I would like to, I honestly don't want to end this podcast because, as I said, I have a lot to ask. And coming from a journalism background, I like talking to people. I like asking questions and getting to learn because each podcast is a learning opportunity for me as well as my audience. But considering the time, I'd like to wind up with one last question. So I ask this question to most of my guests because this is something generic but very, very helpful for all of us.
Mhm.
How do you both manage time? Time management is life management, is what I heard from someone. But it's really true, right? If you manage time, then you manage everything. So, what are your perspectives on time management and any tips that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, right now for me, life is really busy with balancing work, school, and a new role at CTPA as well. Um, my agenda is my best friend. My calendar on my phone is my best friend. I even have to schedule hangouts with my friends in my calendar. That's how I remember things. And I really try to prioritize my time, prioritize what things are important for the day. I wake up, write down everything that I need to do, check things off, and try to balance between my work, school, volunteer life, and also my personal time. I do need to wind down as well, and making it's okay to say no sometimes as well, and taking that time for yourself. And it's all about that balance and just being able to really prioritize what is important for that day and what can be pushed to tomorrow, and being able to communicate that to all the stakeholders around you, whether it's your work, your classmates, like your colleagues at my volunteer space, right? And being able to take on what you can manage.
Awesome. Neva, anything
Yeah.
from your side?
She's a very busy person, so I'm interested to hear how she
I could
manages
tell.
everything.
I could tell.
Yeah, just like Keerthana said, my calendar is my best friend. But just setting priorities, is this like a very important thing that I need to get done today, or is it something that can wait a few days? Um, and also like not being afraid to delegate tasks. So, at work, sometimes I'll take on projects that, sometimes I'm just way too busy. So I'll just ask, a few colleagues, hey, can you help out here and there? Same thing with CTPA. I find that if I hold on to everything, it just builds up my work list. So I like to use it as an opportunity to be a mentor and coach my team to be like, hey, there's this new project. Is anyone interested? And it's great because now I can kind of transfer my knowledge and really help people kind of get more out of the experience that they want to.
Delegating is key. I struggle with this also, but throughout this year of being super busy, you need to do it. You have to be able to trust your team to take on the tasks as well, share the workload.
I totally agree. That's
Mhm.
very, very valid, both of you, Keerthana and Neva. Thank you so very much for taking out this time this morning. I'm pretty sure your days are busy, especially this Thursday. Weekend is coming soon. So I'm happy that it's just one more day. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys taking out the time and being my guest today. I hope you enjoyed, having this conversation with me. I really learned a lot, as I mentioned. It's really a great learning opportunity for me as well, and I'm pretty sure the viewers or the listeners who are watching or listening to this podcast have a lot to take on from this podcast. Thank you so much, Neva and Kirtana. I will leave you here and. Feel free to get in touch with Computek and people who are watching. Feel free to get in touch with CTPA because they have been doing a really great job. Get involved in the Palm program. Make use of the workshop and the sessions that they are having, and many more coming up soon as well. Thank you so much, both of you, and I will see you next time. If you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Until I see you next time, it's Aishwarya signing off with Neva and Kirtana. Take care.